Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah.
And today we're tackling a topic that I think hits close to home for a lot of us: bullying.
Yeah.
It's something that unfortunately many of us have experienced either directly or indirectly. And you've sent in a ton of research, a lot of personal stories too. So it's clear you're not just looking for like a basic definition of bullying. We're going deeper.
Absolutely.
You want to know how to recognize it, how to prevent it, how to handle it, and most importantly, how to support those who are being targeted.
Yeah, and I think what's really important is to move beyond those kind of like surface level explanations of, name calling and physical aggression,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We need to explore those nuances of like bullying dynamics,
Right.
the
Those sort of
impacts.
long-term impacts too.
Yeah, and even the legal side of things.
Exactly. So instead of just like listing the types of bullying, like I'm sure you already know, physical, verbal, social, cyberbullying,
Right.
let's jump into something I think is a little more thought-provoking.
Right.
Have you ever considered how like social hierarchies actually play into bullying?
Yeah. I think what's fascinating here is that bullying often isn't just about individual aggression.
Hmm.
It's about these power dynamics within groups.
Yeah.
You see this in schools, workplaces, even online communities. Understanding these subtle power structures is key to recognizing and addressing bullying before it even escalates.
It's like these hidden networks of alliances and influences that can either protect or target individuals.
Exactly.
So if we consider that hierarchical aspect, what signs might indicate that someone's being targeted beyond just like the obvious physical or verbal abuse?
Yeah, I'd say look for patterns of exclusion.
Okay.
Like is someone consistently being left out of social gatherings, online conversations, decision-making processes?
Oh, interesting.
This subtle form of social bullying can be incredibly damaging.
Yeah.
It chips away at someone's sense of belonging, their self-worth.
That's a great point. It's not always about that outright aggression. It's like that slow, silent erosion of someone's social stand. So let's say we recognize those signs, either in ourselves or someone we care about. Instead of just saying, like, stay in groups, which isn't always realistic,
Yeah.
what are some more proactive and individualized approaches to safety?
I think instead of relying on that generic advice, we need to think about developing a personalized safety plan.
Okay.
This could include things like mapping out safe routes,
Oh, that's smart.
identifying trusted adults in different environments, or even practicing assertive communication techniques.
I like that.
It's about empowering individuals to assess risk and take control of their own safety.
I love that emphasis on empowerment. It's not just about avoiding danger. It's about building the skills and confidence to navigate these challenging situations.
Exactly.
But what happens when prevention isn't enough? Let's say someone finds themselves in a situation where they're being verbally harassed.
Right.
Is it always best to, like, directly confront the bully?
While direct confrontation can be effective in some cases, it's not always the safest or most productive approach. Sometimes strategically disengaging is the smarter move.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What would that look like in practice?
Think about it this way. Bullies often feed off the reaction they get.
Hmm.
So by refusing to engage, by not giving them that emotional response they're seeking, you're essentially taking away their power.
So it's about disrupting their game plan, refusing to be the puppet in their drama.
Exactly. And this can be especially effective in online situations.
Okay.
Rather than getting sucked into a heated exchange on social media, consider simply disengaging, blocking the bully, and focusing on building your own positive online community.
It's about shifting your energy towards those who uplift and support you rather than those who seek to tear you down.
Yeah.
But what about situations where disengaging isn't an option? Like if someone is being physically intimidated?
In those situations, immediate safety takes priority.
Yeah.
This is where those personalized safety plans come into play.
Right.
Knowing your escape routes, having a trusted adult you can contact, or even having a code word with friends or family that signals you need help can be invaluable.
So it's about having those layers of protection in place, knowing what to do and who to contact in a crisis.
Right.
But even with all the preparation in the world, sometimes these situations catch us off guard.
Mm.
And that's when documenting what happened becomes crucial.
Right. Documentation is absolutely essential, especially when it comes to cyberbullying,
Oh, yeah.
which can be so ephemeral and difficult to prove.
Right.
Screenshots, saved messages, even a detailed log of dates, times, and platforms used can be vital if you need to report the bullying to authorities or online platforms.
It's like building a case file, meticulously gathering the evidence you need to protect yourself.
Exactly.
But documentation isn't just about reporting. It can also play a powerful role in emotional processing, right?
You're absolutely right.
Hmm.
Writing down your experiences can be an incredibly cathartic process.
Hmm.
It allows you to externalize those painful emotions, make sense of what happened, and even identify patterns or triggers that you might not have noticed otherwise.
It's like you're taking back control of the narrative, turning those jumbled thoughts and feelings into something tangible and manageable.
Right.
But even with all these strategies in place, bullying can leave lasting wounds, emotional scars that might not be visible to the naked eye.
And that's why it's so crucial to talk about the psychological impact of bullying.
Yeah.
It's not just about hurt feelings. It can lead to serious mental health challenges, even trauma in some cases.
This feels like a perfect segue into our next segment, where we'll explore those deeper impacts and discuss how to cope, heal, and ultimately move forward.
Let's dive into that. So, we often talk about bullying in terms of those like immediate consequences,
Hmm.
right? Like hurt feelings or social isolation.
Right.
But the reality is the impact can be much deeper and longer lasting.
So let's unpack that a bit.
Yeah.
What are some of the psychological effects of bullying that might not be so obvious?
Well, imagine living with this constant sense of fear and hypervigilance,
Oh, wow.
always anticipating the next attack, the next hurtful comment.
Mm.
That's the reality for many people who've experienced bullying.
Right.
They develop this heightened sensitivity to social cues, often interpreting neutral interactions as threats.
It's almost like they're living in a perpetual state of fight or flight. Their nervous systems are on high alert.
Exactly. And this chronic stress can lead to a whole host of mental health challenges, anxiety disorders, depression, even post-traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD. That's a term we usually associate with like major traumatic events, not necessarily something like bullying. Can you elaborate on that connection?
Sure. What's important to understand is that trauma isn't just about the event itself.
Okay.
It's about the impact that event has on an individual's sense of safety and well-being.
Hmm.
And for someone who's been repeatedly targeted, humiliated, or physically harmed,
Mhm.
bullying can absolutely be a traumatic experience.
So it's not about minimizing the experience or comparing traumas. It's about recognizing that bullying can create those same feelings of helplessness, fear, and loss of control that we see in other forms of trauma.
Precisely. And these psychological wounds can manifest in a variety of ways. Difficulty concentrating, sleep disturbances, nightmares, flashbacks,
Wow.
even physical symptoms like headaches and stomach
It's
aches.
like the body is holding on to that trauma, expressing it through both emotional and physical distress.
Right.
And these impacts can linger for years, even decades, if left untreated.
Absolutely. The trauma of bullying can shape how someone views themselves, their relationships, and the world around them. It can erode their self-esteem, making it difficult to trust others and form healthy attachments.
This all feels so heavy, so disheartening. But amidst all this talk of trauma and long-term consequences, I have to ask, is there hope for healing? Can someone truly recover from the wounds of bullying?
Absolutely. The human spirit is incredibly resilient. And while the healing journey can be challenging, it's definitely possible.
Okay.
And the first step is acknowledging the impact of the bullying,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that those feelings of hurt, anger, and fear are valid.
It's about giving yourself permission to feel those emotions, to not minimize or suppress them.
Exactly. And then it's about finding healthy ways to process those emotions.
Okay.
This could involve journaling, talking to a therapist, joining a support group, or even engaging in creative outlets like art or music.
It's about finding those outlets that allow you to express yourself, to release that pent-up energy and emotion in a safe and constructive way.
Precisely. And as you start to process those emotions, it's important to focus on rebuilding your self-esteem. Remember, bullying is never the target's fault.
Right.
It's a reflection of the bully's own insecurities and issues, not your worth as a person.
That's such a powerful reminder. It's so easy to internalize those negative messages and start believing them. But it's crucial to separate yourself from the bully's actions and recognize your own inherent value.
And one way to start reclaiming that sense of worth is to focus on your strengths, your talents, your passions.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that make you feel good about yourself, that bring you joy and fulfillment?
It's about rediscovering those parts of yourself that might have been dimmed or overshadowed by the bullying experience.
Exactly. And as you start to rebuild your self-esteem, it's also important to focus on fostering healthy relationships.
Okay.
Surround yourself with people who uplift and support you, who see your worth and celebrate your strengths.
It's about creating that circle of trust, that safe haven, where you can be your authentic self without fear of judgment or rejection.
And remember, healing isn't a linear process. There will be ups and downs.
Right.
Days when you feel strong and resilient, and days when those old wounds resurface. Be patient with yourself and don't be afraid to reach out for help when you need it.
It's like we talked about earlier, building that personalized safety plan.
Right.
But this time it's a plan for emotional well-being,
Right.
identifying your support system, your coping mechanisms,
Yeah.
and knowing when to reach out for professional help.
Exactly. And speaking of professional help, therapy can be an incredibly valuable tool for healing from bullying.
Hmm.
A therapist can provide a safe and supportive space to process those painful emotions, challenge negative thought patterns, and develop healthy coping strategies.
It's like having a guide on your healing journey, someone who can help you navigate those difficult emotions and find your way back to wholeness.
And remember, there are different types of therapy that can be helpful for addressing the specific challenges of bullying.
Okay.
Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, can be effective for challenging those negative thoughts and beliefs that often arise from bullying.
Interesting.
Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing EMDR therapy can be helpful for processing traumatic memories.
Wow.
And expressive therapies like art therapy or music therapy can provide creative outlets for exploring and expressing those emotions that might be difficult to put into words.
It's about finding the approach that resonates with you, that feels safe and empowering.
Right.
And it's important to remember that healing takes time.
Hmm.
It's not a quick fix. It's a journey that requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to face those difficult emotions head on.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But even amidst the challenges, it's important to remember that there is hope, recovery is possible, and there is life beyond bullying. In fact, many people who have experienced bullying go on to achieve incredible things, using their experiences to fuel their passions and make a positive impact on the world.
No, that's what I call turning pain into purpose.
Right.
It's about reclaiming your power, finding your voice, and using it to create something beautiful and meaningful.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial aspect of this conversation, the role of bystanders.
Okay.
Because while it's essential for targets of bullying to have access to resources and support,
Right.
it's equally important to empower those who witness bullying to take action.
I love that we're shifting the focus here. It's not just about the target and the bully, it's about the entire community, the collective responsibility we all have to create a culture of respect and safety.
Precisely. And that starts with understanding that silence is complicity. When we witness bullying and do nothing,
Right.
we're essentially condoning that behavior and allowing it to continue.
So it's not just about not being the bully, it's about actively intervening, interrupting those harmful dynamics, and standing up for what's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that intervention can take many forms.
Okay.
It can be as simple as speaking up,
Yeah.
saying something like, hey, that's not cool, leave them alone.
Mm.
Or it could involve reporting the bullying to a trusted adult, documenting what you witnessed, or even offering support and friendship to the person being targeted.
It's about recognizing that even small actions can have a ripple effect, creating a culture where bullying is not tolerated and where everyone feels safe and respected. But what about those situations where intervening directly might not be safe? What are some other ways to be an active bystander?
That's a great question, and it's important to prioritize your own safety first.
Right.
But even if you can't intervene directly, you can still make a difference.
Okay.
You can offer support to the target after the incident, let them know they're not alone, and help them connect with resources or trusted adults.
It's about being that compassionate presence, that listening ear, that shoulder to cry on. Sometimes just knowing that someone cares can make all the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And remember, being an active bystander also means refusing to participate in or perpetuate bullying behavior.
Yeah.
Don't spread rumors,
Yeah.
don't laugh at cruel jokes, and don't share harmful content online.
It's about recognizing that our words and actions have power and that we have a responsibility to use that power for good, to create a culture of kindness and respect both online and offline.
And speaking of responsibility, it's important to acknowledge that addressing bullying goes beyond individual actions. It requires systemic change, a shift in the way we think about and respond to bullying as a society.
Now we're talking about the big picture, the systemic changes that need to happen to create a truly safe and inclusive environment for everyone.
Exactly. This could involve implementing anti-bullying policies in schools and workplaces, providing training for teachers and staff on how to recognize and address bullying, and creating a culture where reporting bullying is encouraged and supported.
It's about shifting from a reactive approach to a proactive one, focusing on prevention and early intervention, rather than just dealing with the consequences after the fact.
Precisely. And this also involves addressing the root causes of bullying,
Okay.
such as prejudice, discrimination, and social inequality.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we create a society where everyone feels valued and respected, where differences are celebrated rather than feared, we create a foundation for a world without bullying.
This is a powerful message of hope and possibility. It's not just about dealing with the problem, it's about creating a better future where bullying is no longer a pervasive issue. But let's be realistic. We live in a complex world with deeply ingrained social structures and power dynamics. How do we even begin to dismantle those systems and create this utopia you're describing?
It's a monumental task, for sure.
Yeah.
But it starts with awareness, with recognizing those systems of oppression and inequality that often fuel bullying behavior.
Yeah.
And then it's about taking action both individually and collectively.
So what does that action look like? What are some tangible steps listeners can take to contribute to this systemic change?
It could be as simple as speaking out against injustice, challenging discriminatory language and behaviors, or supporting organizations that advocate for equality and social justice. It could involve educating yourself and others about the root causes of bullying, or even running for office, to create policies that promote inclusivity and respect.
It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play in creating a better world, whether it's through our everyday interactions, our activism, or our leadership in our communities.
Exactly.
Mm.
And it's about remembering that change starts with each of us.
Mm.
By choosing kindness, by speaking up against injustice, by challenging those harmful norms and beliefs, we can create a ripple effect that spreads outward, transforming our communities, and ultimately creating a world where bullying has no place.
This has been an incredibly inspiring conversation. We've explored the dark side of bullying, but we've also uncovered so much light. The resilience of the human spirit, the power of community, and the possibility of creating a more just and compassionate world.
And while we've covered a lot of ground today, there's one crucial aspect we haven't touched on yet: the legal side of bullying.
Oh, right.
Because in some cases, bullying goes beyond hurtful words and actions. It crosses the line into criminal behavior.
That's a great point. And understanding those legal implications can be empowering for both targets of bullying and those who witness it. So in our final segment, let's delve into those legal aspects, explore what constitutes criminal bullying, and discuss how to navigate those legal channels effectively.
Let's do that.
Okay, so we've talked about the emotional and social impacts of bullying, but it's important to recognize that bullying can actually have legal consequences as well.
Right. It's not always just a matter of hurt feelings. Sometimes it crosses the line into criminal behavior.
Yeah, so where's that line? Like, what are some specific examples of bullying behaviors that might actually have legal ramifications?
Well, physical assault is a clear example.
Sure.
Any form of physical violence, from shoving and hitting to more serious acts of aggression, that's illegal and can be prosecuted.
Okay, that one seems fairly straightforward. But what about those more subtle forms of bullying, like verbal harassment or spreading rumors? Where's the legal line there?
Yeah, so verbal harassment can actually fall under the legal definition of harassment if it creates a hostile environment, particularly in settings like schools or workplaces. This could include repeated insults, threats, or derogatory language based on someone's race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation.
So it's not just about the words themselves, it's about the context, the intent, and the impact on the target.
Exactly. And when it comes to spreading rumors,
Mhm.
especially if those rumors are false and damaging to someone's reputation, well, now we're talking about defamation, which can have serious legal consequences.
Defamation. That sounds pretty intense. What would someone need to prove in order to actually take legal action for defamation?
It can be tricky, but generally they would need to demonstrate that the statements made were false,
Okay.
that they were published or communicated to others,
Yeah.
that they caused harm to their reputation,
Yeah.
and that the person spreading the rumors acted with negligence or malice.
So it's not just about proving that the rumors were hurtful. It's about demonstrating that they were intentionally spread with the intent to cause harm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why documentation is so crucial in these cases.
Great.
Saving screenshots of online posts, emails, text messages, or even keeping a detailed journal of incidents can be incredibly helpful in building a legal case.
It's like we talked about earlier, gathering that evidence to support your claims and protect yourself. But let's say someone has been bullied. They have evidence and they're ready to take legal action. What are the next steps? Who do they contact?
Well, the first step is often to report the bullying to the appropriate authorities.
Okay.
This could be a teacher or principal at school, a supervisor or HR department at work, or even the police if the bullying involves criminal activity.
So it's about utilizing those existing channels, those systems that are in place to protect individuals from harm.
Exactly. And depending on the severity of the situation and the specific legal issues involved, it might be beneficial to consult with an attorney who specializes in bullying or harassment cases.
Okay.
They can provide guidance on your legal options, help you navigate the legal system, and advocate for your rights.
It's like having an expert in your corner someone who understands the complexities of the law and can fight for your best interests. But legal action can be a daunting process, often involving time, money, and emotional energy. Are there other avenues for seeking justice or resolution outside of the courtroom?
Absolutely. Many schools and workplaces have internal mediation or conflict resolution processes that can be helpful in addressing bullying situations.
Okay.
These processes often involve a neutral third party who helps facilitate a conversation between the parties involved with the goal of reaching a mutually agreeable solution.
So it's about finding ways to address the harm that's been done to hold the bully accountable and to create a safer environment moving forward, but without necessarily going through a lengthy and potentially adversarial legal process.
Exactly. And even in situations where legal action is pursued, mediation or restorative justice practices can be used in conjunction with those legal proceedings to promote healing and reconciliation.
This is a powerful reminder that this has been such an incredibly informative and empowering deep dive. We've explored the complex world of bullying from its psychological impacts to its legal ramifications, and we've uncovered a wealth of strategies for prevention, intervention, and healing. I'm feeling so much more equipped to recognize, address, and ultimately prevent bullying in all its forms.
So glad to hear that. And remember, creating a world without bullying isn't just a lofty ideal, it's a collective responsibility.
Yep.
Each of us has a role to play, whether it's through our everyday interactions, our activism, or our willingness to speak out against injustice and support those who have been harmed.
To our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, you are not alone. There is hope, there is help, and there is the possibility of a brighter future where bullying has no place.
Here's a final thought to leave you with. How can you use your unique experiences, your knowledge, and your compassion to contribute to a kinder and more inclusive world? Even small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect, creating a wave of positive change that spreads outward, transforming our communities, and ultimately making the world a safer and more just place for everyone.
What a beautiful and inspiring message. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and expertise with us today. It's been an honor and a privilege to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners, if you're struggling with bullying or know someone who is off this, please reach out for help. The resources mentioned in this episode are listed in the show notes, and we encourage you to connect with those organizations and find the support you need. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay kind.